All right, today we are diving deep into a really fascinating and honestly pretty chilling character type, the Sovereign of Stagnation. You might know him by another name, Koschei the Deathless.
So let's just start with the central, mind-bending paradox that this whole archetype is built on.
What if the ultimate victory, the act of conquering death itself, was actually the ultimate defeat? That contradiction, right there, is the very heart of the Sovereign. This is a being that, in its obsessive quest for eternal life, has basically sacrificed everything that makes life worth living in the first place. It's immortality, but at the cost of your own soul. So first up, let's get into the bizarre mechanics of this whole deathless state, because it's built on a fundamental, almost philosophical paradox. The Sovereign is what the source material calls a fragmented being. See, by surgically removing his life force, his death, from his body to keep it safe somewhere else, he's basically created a permanent civil war inside himself. He exists, sure, but he is never, ever truly alive. And the physical result of this is, well, it's chilling. This isn't some vibrant, godlike immortal we're talking about. This is a shriveled-up, gaunt sorcerer. He's like a distorted memory of old Slavic black gods or ancient tyrants. And that image of a skeleton dipped in wax, wow, it's so perfect. It suggests something ancient, brittle, with just the thinnest coating of life, something that looks like it could crack apart at any second. You know, when we first meet these characters, they're often totally powerless, chained up in a dungeon, trapped in a cellar, completely dormant. And their big comeback? It's usually triggered by an act of kindness. Some hero comes along, offers them a drink of water, and that simple moment of empathy gets weaponized. It rehydrates the evil and unleashes it back onto the world. And this really gets us to the terrible bargain at the center of it all. On one side, look at what he gains. He can't be killed by normal means, he's a master of dark magic, he can live for centuries. But then look at what he's given up. All vibrancy, all empathy, any chance for a real connection, and even the simple dignity of just being part of the natural world. It's an absolutely catastrophic trade-off. So you have to ask yourself, what kind of mind actually agrees to a bargain like that? To really get the Sovereign, we've got to look past all the power and get into the psychology that's driving this thing. Now, this is so important. This is not a villain with some grand plan for a new world order. No, this is a being motivated by a deep, nagging, and frankly pathetic terror of death. Every single thing he does is just a desperate, frantic attempt to keep the inevitable away. And this terror, it makes him into a kind of spiritual hoarder. Because there's this huge vacuum at his core, he tries to fill that emptiness by basically vampirizing the world around him. He hoards gold not because he's greedy, but because it's permanent. And he kidnaps these vibrant people, like the warrior queen Maria Morovna, not out of love or lust, but to possess the very life and agency that he threw away. But ultimately, this just creates this profound, endless loneliness. The Sovereign can capture and own things, but he can never connect or be a part of them. He's always a predator, never a partner. And he's just created this prison of total isolation for himself, pulling everything good and vibrant into his own silent personal abyss. Now this internal emptiness, it doesn't stay internal. It bleeds out, literally reshaping the world around him into a mirror of his own stagnant soul. The first sign that you've walked into the Sovereign's lands is the air itself. It's a land where the wind just doesn't blow. The natural cycles of the world have been shattered, leaving this oppressive, unnatural stillness. The second sign? The silence. I mean, a total absence of animal life. In these stories, it's almost always pointed out that the birds don't sing. This complete lack of sound is a huge red flag that the pulse of life itself has stopped here. And finally, the plant life is just frozen. Things don't grow, but they also don't decay. The entire landscape is trapped in a single, unchanging moment, a perfect reflection of the Sovereign's own internal state. But all of this power, this total control over life and death, it's all built around one single, meticulously hidden point of failure, and this is the architecture of his vulnerability. I mean, the design here is just brilliant. The Sovereign's death isn't in his body, it's hidden away, nested inside layer after symbolic layer, like one of those Russian dolls of pure paranoia. You've got to find a mythical island, then an ancient oak tree, then an iron chest inside the tree, which has a hare, which has a duck inside it, which has an egg inside it, and inside that egg is the final secret, a single needle. But here's the thing. This incredibly complex system is not a sign of strength. The source material calls it a
prison of the moment of trauma. This whole labyrinth, it isn't a fortress, it's a blueprint of the sovereign's terror. It just shows you how fragile and anxious he really is, trapped forever by the fear of his own end.
So, how do you defeat a being like this? Well, it's not about brute force. The solution comes from understanding the very thing the sovereign rejected: connection.
Just think about the contrast with another powerful figure, like Baba Yaga. While the sovereign is an anomaly who literally hides from death, she's an enforcer who lives right on its doorstep. His refusal to be part of the natural cycle is an insult to the natural order, so much so that even other dark forces will work against him.
And that means the hero wins not by being stronger, but by being more connected, by showing kindness to animals, the wolf, the crow, the fish. The hero builds alliances. These creatures, they represent the web of nature that the sovereign hates, and they're the only ones who can actually get through his nested protections. His isolation becomes his greatest weakness. And this brings us to the final really powerful idea here. When the hero finally crushes that egg and breaks the needle, it's described as the mercy of an end. Because a life without growth, without change, without connection, that's not life at all. It's just a slow-motion suicide. The sovereign has been dead in every way that actually matters for centuries.
And so, this whole archetype leaves us with a pretty profound question to think about. In a world that can be so obsessed with preservation and avoiding endings, it really forces us to ask, what does it actually mean to be truly, vibrantly, and meaningfully alive?